Hello, and welcome to the National Institute on Money and State Politics public webinar series. Today we will be going over trends in self-financed campaigns. Self-financing has accounted for about $2.1 billion since the year 2000. But what's really interesting about it is that if self-financed candidates are often an exception to the rule that the biggest fundraiser in a race will win. In fact, the greater the percentage a candidate's overall haul is from self-finance, the lower the likelihood of that candidate being successful at the ballot box. You can find a table with those exact numbers in a report on self-financing that we did a few months back. I'm going to show you the report later, but just to plug quickly, normally if you want to find the reports, you can go to the bottom of our front page here, and you'll see the buttons that'll lead you to the links, or the menu side on the left here under research, you'll see that as well. And hey, you might have noticed, this is the new site. Today I'm going to be showing you everything on this site. It's still in beta, as you can see. But it's eventually going to be replacing our current site at the www address. So first, I'm going to show you how to find self-finance candidates on our site. You're going to start with the Ask Anything tool. You click Start here. And then you want to go to Contributions From, Industry. Then you can click the little arrow on the left next to Candidate Contributions. You'll get the drop-down menu, and you'll want to click Candidate Contributions. Click OK. I'm going to show you a variety of years just to give you an image or idea of the trends. So I'll go back through 2010. And then just to speed things up, I'm going to restrict it to state data only. And then, as always, when you're using the Ask Anything, you just want to double check before clicking OK or Go that your query has everything, you haven't missed anything. So we want to look at candidate contributions to candidate and committees and elections in certain years. And if you hover over selected years, it will show you what you've selected. Okay, that sounds good. Looks so we could go. Then I've already preloaded it just to save on time. All right, and a word about the industry code candidate contributions, which we just did a query for. This is a code that is applied for the year in which someone who is contributing as a candidate, and then also the year immediately preceding the election. So if John Smith, for example, ran for State House in 2014, all contributions he made in 2013 and 2014 are going to be coded as candidate contributions. Okay, so now you've got our query results. You're going to want to view them by clicking both the candidate and contributor boxes. So contributor box on the bottom here and the candidate. This is going to allow you to identify which contributions are self-financed because you'll be able to match the name. Great. Now, typically self-financed candidates are always going to be at the top. They're not restricted in how much they can contribute to their own campaigns and hence likely to spend considerable sums. But when you do dig deeper into the pages, say for example, page 1000 out of 1114, you will start seeing contributions that one candidate gave to another candidate in the same year. Now you can see here, our current record for self-finance is far and away Meg Whitman, the 2010 Republican candidate for governor of California. She gave her campaign over $144 million. Now, if you ever want to know a proportion of her overall fundraising, that is, you can do that by clicking on her name, and that will bring you to her entity page. Now you want to click as a candidate. You can see right away, she only ran in 1 year. So the overview is going to actually be her total for that 2010 race. But saying for the sake of argument that if she had ran several races over several years, you would want to just click on the elections tab, and then it would list them all here. And you can see on the bottom, the far right here, her fundraising total for 2010 was 176 million, or over that rather. So 144 out of 176 million, it's quite a high percentage that just came from self-finance. Right, back to our self-finance query. If you want to start breaking down self-finance by party or office or win-loss status, you can do that through the Data Navigator options. So I'm just going to click these off. For example, and you'll often want to click by election year as well because, that trends for this kind of self-finance thing is they vary by year. So, for example, in 2010, we saw a huge surge in self-finance candidates. So you always want to kind of check by year. And you just combine that with others. See, you can see 2010, 328 million. And always remember when you're going through these, various results that with all the data you see here are all candidate contributions, not strictly self-finance. Self-finance makes up the bulk of the money, which is why when you sort by win-lost, or status of candidate rather, you're going to see that losing candidates always raise the most, which, if you'll recall, is tends to not be the normal trend for candidates. And anytime you want to dive into the records for self-finance candidates while looking at specific criteria, all you have to do is click the magnifying glass and it's going to bring you directly to that more narrow data. So for example, if you want to look at those self-finance candidates who bucked the trend of losing, we're just going to click on the magnifying glass next to the one line here. And that is going to bring us then directly to those records. You'll see from our query line up here that has been changed to reflect the search. Now you want to make the same selections I made before. And here at the top, for example, you're going to see Florida Governor Rick Scott won in 2010 through a hefty dose of self-finance, and so did Illinois Governor Bruce Rauner in 2014. Now, the prominence of successful self-finance gubernatorial candidates isn't too surprising. If we click this off and just do a quick look at the general office, you'll see, again, by far and away, gubernatorial candidates who won with self-finance, make up a lot more than the next closest. And this isn't too surprising. If we go back actually to our original query and just simply sort by office and winning status, you'll also notice that. Yep, so yes, successful gubernatorial candidates received almost 3 times as much from candidate contributions as successful candidates did for any other office. And they actually beat out successful and unsuccessful candidates of any other office too, because gubernatorial races tend to attract a lot of money. Now, I want to mention that if you want to do any in-depth work with self-finance candidates, the best option for you is really to just download this data set, pull it into Excel or another spreadsheet program, and then group up on candidates and contributors whose names match. That way, you're not dealing with all the smaller contributions from non-self-finance. Just remember that to download any data, you'll need to have a My Follow the Money account. You can register or log in on the bottom top right here. It's free, doesn't require much of any information from you, but by signing up and signing in, you can also save your query and then return to it at a later time. Okay, so if you want to read a little bit more about the efficacy of self-financing and any of the other trends that do surround it, the Institute actually put out a report last July, which I mentioned earlier. Just a reminder that can be found at our reports page, which looks like this. I believe it was back in, July. Yep, the mostly unchanged efficacy of self-funding a political campaign. It's got a lot of good information on it, so I heartily recommend that you check it out. If you have any other questions, or if you find yourself lost on the site and in need of some guidance, please do give us a call or an email. We're a small office, and we actually do answer our phones, so we'd be able to get you the help that you need in short order. All right, thank you for listening.